In the passing of Henry Kissinger, we witness not just the end of a long, controversial life, but the final curtain on a grand, macabre performance. Kissinger, a maestro of realpolitik, played his symphony on a global stage, where the notes were often cries of the oppressed and the percussion, bombs over Cambodia and Vietnam. The conductor has left, but the echoes of his music resound, a haunting reminder of the cost of power untempered by moral restraint. Kissinger, a man who once said that power was the ultimate aphrodisiac, found himself intoxicated by its potential, navigating the corridors of influence with a cold, calculating grace. His doctrine, a heady mix of pragmatism and cynicism, assumed the guise of statesmanship, but beneath its veneer lay a worldview chilling in its indifference to human suffering. The Nobel Peace Prize, oh, the irony, graced his mantle, a reward for orchestrating the end of the Vietnam War. Yet this accolade could not sanitize the legacy of a man whose strategies extended that very war, and whose decisions led to untold deaths. The realpolitik of Kissinger was not just immoral, it was an affront to the very concept of peace. Kissinger's death will prompt tributes from some quarters hailing him as a titan of diplomacy. But let us not whitewash history. His handiwork, the secret bombings in Cambodia, the support of Latin American tyrants, the endorsement of Pakistan's brutal crackdown in Bangladesh, are imprinted on the annals of the 20th century, stark reminders of the havoc wrought when power is unmoored from principle. In the end, Kissinger's demise should not be an occasion for hagiography, but a moment of reckoning. It is a time to reflect on the costs of a foreign policy that prizes realpolitik over human rights, that values strategic gain over the sanctity of human life. As we bid farewell to Henry Kissinger, let us also lay to rest the dangerous illusions of his brand of diplomacy, a philosophy that, in its quest for geopolitical dominance, leaves a trail of human wreckage in its wake. It is with a certain sardonic amusement that I observe, from whatever ethereal realm I now inhabit, the longevity of Henry Kissinger. The adage that the good die young seems to find a peculiar affirmation in this instance. I, who spared no effort in exposing the machinations of this architect of realpolitik, find myself outlived by the very subject of my critique. There's a tragicomic element to this, the man who so deftly danced around the moral abyss, clinging to life and power with a tenacity that borders on the Faustian, while those who dared to challenge the ethical quagmires of such power, myself included, have long since departed the stage. This enduring presence of Kissinger, until now, seemed almost a cruel jest of the fates, a reminder that sometimes those who least deserve longevity are its most ardent beneficiaries. As we mark the end of Henry Kissinger's earthly tenure, a moment arrives not for mourning, but for profound reflection, and perhaps a restrained celebration of justice long deferred. In my work, The Trial of Henry Kissinger, I endeavored to prosecute him in the court of public opinion, to lay bare the stark juxtaposition of his vaunted diplomacy against the grim tally of his deeds. Now, as he crosses into the great unknown, one can only hope that the trial I imagined for him in print pales in comparison to the reckoning he might face in a cosmic court of justice. If there is any poetic justice in the universe, then surely Kissinger's true trial is just beginning. A trial not in the flawed halls of human justice, but in the infernal depths where the consequences of one's earthly actions are measured against an eternal standard. May this be the moment when the scales of justice, so long unbalanced by Kissinger's heavy hand, find their rightful equilibrium. Let us celebrate not the man, but the opportunity to re-examine and reject the dangerous allure of power without conscience, and instead champion a world order built on the bedrock of human dignity and moral responsibility.